Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the 3-game CSGO main slate on Tuesday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos breaking down NBA, NFL, PGA, and esports daily fantasy sports slates. Esports including Call of Duty, League of Legends, and this one, Counter-Strike CSGO. Also, just want to say again, thank you guys for all the support. Really do appreciate it. We're at 3.3 thousand subscribers. And then if you guys are interested in PGA DFS, I just uploaded my video for the Charles Schwab tournament. We have a millionaire maker there, $1 million to first. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to check out that video. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's jump into it. Before we get into players and their prices, what we can do is we can look back at my lineup here from Monday. So this is my final lineup here, the main slate. Zawu, Nico, Mur, Someday Young, Blame F, and Config. Yeah, I mean, I knew Zawu was going to be chalk. There's just, I can't fade him right now. He's in my opinion, unfadeable. He's playing too good at Counter-Strike. I think he was only 9.4K. I threw him in the captain spot. I recommended put him in the captain spot. Only 36% of people did it. I thought it'd be maybe, I don't know. I guess, he was 92% out. He was the absolute chalk. But yeah, that was an easy play. Plugged him in the captain spot. Everything else here, so it just seemed like, man, I was in good shape. And the last game, in like every series, my players just did nothing. If you watch like the first 2 games of the Vitality Heroic game, Nico was on fire. And the last game, I think he went 10-20. Mur, Someday Young. They weren't doing great, but they did get 2-0'd. But for getting 2-0'd, they actually didn't do terrible, right? Mur had 52, Someday Young had 56. Mur was really popular, actually more popular than I thought. Like I liked him, but I didn't think he'd be 68% owned in this $33 tournament. But the thing was, no one really had a great game on the Mad Lion side. I think it was Roge that actually had the big game, he had the big second map, but there wasn't really a lot of big scores. I think Bubshy had like mid-60s. I think Shajosh actually was less than both Mur and Someday Young. So it wasn't in terrible shape. And then the complexity guys, again, I was looking really good going through 2 maps. That third map, Fnatic just blew them out of the water. Still, again, Blame F, not bad. Config, not bad. But, man, if my players could have just came through and just did decent the third maps, it I would have definitely cashed here. I thought I was going to cash for sure. At the last game, I had Zawu in the captain and Nico, and I was a few points off the money line. But again, Nico just laying an egg that third map did it for me. He was only really low owned, so that one hurt. But that's the look back here of my lineup from the main slate. So enough talking about that. Now let's talk about this 3-game slate. And this 3-game slate I really like this slate. I think there's a clear-cut way to go in cash games, but also a lot of good ways to go in GPPs to differentiate yourself. So we have Astralis versus NIP. NIP minus 175 favorites. G2 and NaVi. NaVi are slight favorites at minus 140, and Big versus FaZe Clan. FaZe Clan minus 235 favorites. So right off the back, before we get into players and their prices, I just think the cash game approach here is get your FaZe stack, play simple, and probably one or 2 NIP guys would be the way I would go for cash games. But let's talk about it first. So, right, we have NIP and Astralis. Astralis, they are the number 4 ranked team in the world, but this is not the same team. With no Zipex, no Glaive, they have just been terrible. They have 1 win in the last 5 games. They lost the last 3. Got 2-0 against Mouse Esports, who've been also terrible. Lost to ENCE, got killed by Vitality, got killed by NIP. So, yeah, this is a slate where, in all honesty, I like the NIP side a lot. I think the public is going to be with me. I think a lot of people are going to be on the same page. Astralis they have not been the same team with these 2 new additions with Yugi and Snappy. So, the NIP side for cash games, I really like this side. Nock especially. Nock has been on fire recently. He has just been putting up huge score after huge score. He's really been carrying this roster, and I think they don't have the most recent game on there, but yeah, Nock has been playing really, really good counter strikes. I really like him at 8K. I also really like Plopsky. These are the normal two guys I consider an NIP. And you're getting them at pretty nice discounts, right? For the top two guys to be 8K and 7.6K, their favorites, Astralis has really been struggling. These NIP guys are going to be popular. But again, I think this is the way you go for cashing. You probably get one or two of these guys. I think the others are still in play, though, too. Again, I just want to attack this Astralis team. They're just, again, a shell of their former self with the two new additions. So I really do want to attack this team. Rez, Twist, and Hampus, I think, are all in play as well. Rez has hovering around a 1 KD. You have Twist hovering around a 1 KD. And then Hampus has been, decent, up and down. But I think he's viable at a 4.4K price point, right? He really has not been that bad. I think he is too cheap, to be honest. I know he's a new addition, but again, he struggled against Vitality, struggled against NaVi, but the 4 most recent games, right? If we're just looking at the scores, 38-38, 19-11, 13-13, 25-19. You'll take that all day for a guy at 4.4K. So I think you can really make an argument for all 5 of these guys. Now, again, my favorite plays, Nock and Plopsky, but I think if you wanted to go stars and scrubs, and there's a lot of stars, I kind of do like that approach, just jamming in those top guys, right? Simple. Nico, and then maybe you had to play one of the cheap guys. I think Hampus is in play at 4.4K. So all in all, again, I really do like this NIP team. I think they are going to be popular for cash games. Again, I think this is the way you go for cash games. On the Astralis side, so this is a team. I think them and Big are going to be the lowest owned teams on the slate. They have just really not been good. Again, I just have been attacking Astralis every single time I can with this new roster. Yugi, Snappy have been terrible. Yugi 0.52 and 0.61, Snappy 0.54 and 0.72. Again, both these guys have just really not been good. Last couple games here, Yugi 7 and 18, 27 and 38. Snappy has gone 8 and 21, 27 and 34. It's just, I have no interest in those two. Even at their price points, no interest. I would rather get to Hampus. I would rather get to Beamaz and FaZe. I have no interest in those cheap Astralis guys. I have also no interest in Magisk and Dupree. Now, they're not as overpriced as they were the last few slates when they were like mid 9Ks. That made no sense. Magisk is now the in-game leader. 8.8K is about $1,500 too expensive for him. Way, way too expensive. No interest. Dupree, 8.6. He's about $1,000 to $1,500 overpriced. No interest there either. I just do not want any of those 4 guys. The only one I have interest in is Device, 9.6K. Because we know, right, this guy is one of the best CSGO players in the world. It's just, with his roster right now, he's getting brought down with, those 2 new additions. So, Device really hasn't been playing bad, right? 48 and 34, 37 and 23, 16 and 15. The last game did go 34 and 39, but still, when he had the good roster, right, he was so consistent, putting up like 60 plus 70, 80s, even upside of the 90s. So, Device is strictly a GPP contrarian dart throw for me. Again, I really do want to attack this Astralis team. So Device is the only one I would consider. And again, it's just a one-off for tournaments. I think he is going to be really, really low on. Like, this is the lowest own you'll probably ever get Device, but it just doesn't make sense to get to him in cash games, right? When you have Simple, when you have Nico as favorites, why would you get Device when Astralis has been terrible? So again, Device the only one I have slight interest in, but it's only in GPPs and only as a contrarian, honestly, dart throw. So let's move on to NaVi versus G2. So this is an interesting game for me. NaVi is so up and down. Like, they can beat good teams but lose to terrible teams. They're playing a pretty good G2 team. I really think this one could go either way. So I think this is the key to the slate, right? I feel pretty good about NIP. I feel pretty good about FaZe. This G2 NaVi game, if you get on the right side of this, I think this is the decider. Now, for cash games, it's pretty simple for me. You play simple and you move on at 9.2K. That's about $1,000 too cheap. He's the best. You could argue, I think he's the best CSGO player right now in the world. Amazing numbers too, right? He is, where is he at? 0.87 kills per round, 0.59 deaths per round. That's just insane. He uses the AWP. He has upside for, honestly, 100, 150 if he's really playing well. So cash games, and you play simple, you move on. Electronic has also been getting in better form recently too. Look at those last 4 games for him. 66 and 52, 77 fantasy points. 41, 41, not bad, 55 fantasy points. 49 and 36, 78 fantasy points. And then 88 and 71, 109 fantasy points. Now, was that... Maybe I think that actually was a best of 5, so those numbers are a little bit skewed. But still, simple, like I said, if you're just looking at his KD, or electronic, he's been pretty good. 7.2K is, I like that price point on him. Again, he's got good numbers. 0.71 kills per round, 0.65 deaths per round. Now, everyone else in the team is just, I don't think we have to do it. I like the value better on other sides, right? I think I like the value better with Hampus. I think like the value better with BMS, who we'll talk about in a sec. So Flamey, Boomage, and Perfecto are probably guys I avoid. The only time I target these guys if I think NaVi is going to win 2-0, and they're going to win easily, because then you get that 2-0 bonus. But their numbers not good. Their prices are cheap. If I had to pick one, it would be Boomage at 6K, but I really have no confidence in these guys. The good thing is, though, with those 3 struggling, again, Simple and Electronic really do carry this roster. So we know where the production is coming from. So you got to like Simple. Again, for cash games, you play them, move on. I think Electronic is a very good play as well. The other 3, the bottom 3, probably a stay away. The only one I would slightly consider is Boomage, and that's if you think NaVi win 2-0. Then we get to the G2 side. So, man, the prices look really good on these guys. Really, really good. Again, NaVi, they're so up and down. I think this one, I really think this one could go either way. I think it could be an easy 2-0 sweep for either side, a close game. I have no idea, right? NaVi, they have been good recently, right? Won the last 3 games against NIP, FaZe, and Mouse Esports, but they have struggled against bad teams. If you've been playing CSGO for the last month or 2, they've got upset by really, really bad teams. Now, on the G2 side, they've actually won 2 of the last 3 games. They got 0-2 against FaZe, but did beat Strauss, did beat Heroic. Again, I think the NaVi side is going to be more popular because they're favorites, and they have Simple, right? Everyone's going to play Simple, so just for that reason alone, the G2 guys are going to be low-owned. People don't like playing players on both sides of the game. And again, we've seen this with a lot of different scenarios in the last week or so. Like a guy like ZywOo, right? Whenever he's on the slate, the guys in the other team are always super low-owned because everyone plays ZywOo, and they don't want to play mix and match. But with the prices here, I definitely think you can play Simple and then run it back with one of these G2 guys. The price tags look really good. Unless you just think NaVi win 2-0 easily. But if you think this is a somewhat close series, man, the salaries on those top 3 guys, I think one at least will crush if this stays close. I really like this G2 side for GPPs. With Hunter, Kenny S, and Nexa all priced about the same, I give the edge to Hunter slightly. He's a very, again, I talk about it a lot, but he's a very, very aggressive player. He just is. He's always the one initiating those gunfights. He pushes through smokes a lot. He's always in those first gunfights. And if he wins, right, if he wins that first gunfight, then he has, a lot of the times in that game, he has upside to put up an enormous game. So he's going to continue to push people. So yeah, Hunter, if you look at his numbers, 0.75 kills per round, 0.67 deaths per round. You have Kenny S at 0.71, 0.60. He's been very good with the AWP recently. And then Nexa has also been pretty decent as well, 0.67 and 0.63. So those top 3 guys I like a lot. I would probably rank it Hunter, Kenny S, and Nexa, but I think that's what it's going to be in ownership too. Probably be Hunter, be the most popular, then Kenny S, then Nexa. So if you want to differentiate yourself, Nexa is always the lowest owned of these 3, always. So if that's the way you want to go, if you want to go the low owned route, Nexa's your guy, and he has upside too. So I do really like this G2 side. I think maybe more for GPPs, just because. Again, cash games, I think it's Simple. I think it's the NIP guys. I think it's the FaZe guys. And then lastly, Jax and Amanek. I have slight interest in Jax at 6.2K. Amanek, someone I don't really get to. He's at 0.61 and 0.61. That's not terrible. Jax at 0.64 and 0.67. So both hovering around a 1.0 KD. The thing with Jax, though, is he can have games where he gets 60, 70, right? So I have slight interest. But, the thing is with him, is he's priced close enough to Nexa, Hunter, and Kenny S where it really doesn't make sense. Why would I play Jax when I could just get an extra 600 for Nexa, an extra 1,000 for Kenny S or Hunter? I don't think it makes sense to do that unless you're just going for a very contrarian build. So all in all, again, I really like this G2 side. Again, I think they're more GPP plays. I think you can play one of them in cash games because they're very cheap prices. But yeah, that's my thoughts there. And then lastly, we have phase versus big. So this is where I think you get again a lot of your cash game plays here is with this phase side. They're the biggest favorites of the day at minus 235. I feel pretty good that they can win this one. Their recent form has been pretty good. Besides that game against NaVi, they beat G2, they beat Fnatic, Spirit, Godsent. So, again, they've been in good form. Big has as well, though. Again, against lesser competition, though. So, I feel, again, for cash games, you probably play at least a couple of these phase guys. Obviously, the guy at the top that stands out is Nico at 9K. He's about $500 to $1,000 too cheap. He's the guy that has the most upside on this roster. Another very aggressive player. Yeah, I love Nico here. Again, for cash games, I think you play Nico. I think you play simple and kind of move on there. So, yeah, I really like Nico there. He's going to be super popular, like simple. But, again, you've got to have interest in him at that price point. And then there's also a lot of other good plays here. With Brokey, Coldzera, and Rain, I think my next most favorite play is Cold. 7K. I think that's about $500 to $1,000 too cheap. I think he is the second best player in this roster. Now, Rain and, again, Brokey have also flashed upside. But if you look at their numbers for the last 3 months, you have Cold sitting at a .71 kills round, .62 deaths round. Rain, slightly negative, a .66 and .69. And Brokey, a .66 and .56. So, Brokey, with those numbers, again, he's a little bit more passive since he uses the AWP, where you have Coldzera, right, at point, he is just, higher kills per round, a little bit higher deaths per round, too, but he's just in more gunfights more often. So, I think Cold is also, again, going to be very, very popular. Like, Nico and Coldzera in cash games tomorrow, they're going to be really chalky. Again, I think you probably play both those guys in cash games. You probably play those two. You probably play simple. Again, I'm kind of like making your cash game lineup for you guys right now. But, yeah, I think cash games is pretty clear cut on this slate. Again, Brokey at 7.8K and Rain at 6.6. I think I'd slightly prefer Brokey to Rain there. And then Bimas, I think is viable as well at 5.8K. Now, he's not as cheap as Hampus, but he's been okay for this roster. Again, he's a new addition. His 3 games that they have on here, 46 and 45, 53 and 59, 32 and 39. So, yeah, not bad. And 5.8K, they're the biggest favorites of the day. If you get that 2-0 sweep, that's a big boost to Bimas. So, I think he's a pretty solid value play as well. And then lastly, the big sides. This is a team completely avoiding cash games, but they are viable in GPPs. Again, anything can happen. And some guys do have some good numbers here. Tabson, Searson, and Xantares have all flash upside for this roster. Tabson at .75 and .65, Searson at .74 and .58, and Xantares at .77 and .64. So all 3 of those guys are pretty similar. The other 2 are probably stay away from me unless you want to get very, very contrarian. But the top 3 guys I think are all in play for GPPs. It makes it a little bit difficult, right? When you have like the G2 guys priced about the same as these guys, I just prefer them. But it doesn't make these guys out of play, right? And they're going to be very low owned. The big side and the straw side are going to be the big side is probably going to be 5 to 10% ownership on all these guys. And then a straw, and then again, maybe device 5 to 10% owned. Everyone else will be unowned. So it's going to be a very, very chalky slate tomorrow. But yeah, those 3 guys I think I would look to for GPPs, but again, they're more contrarian. But that's really it. So again, let's talk about cash games really quick here. So I like the NIP side. I think all 5 are viable on this slate. I think simple for cash games for sure. I think you can play one of those G2 guys in cash games, and electronic as well. And then in the phase side, I think you can make an argument for any of them, but I really like Nico. I really like Cold. So that's where I look to for cash games. For GPPs, again, the G2 side is a side I like a lot just because, again, we know simple is going to be very, very popular. So if by the off chance that G2 win 2-0 and they sweep them like pretty easily, simple has an off game, you're in an amazing shape, right? These guys are just all going to be low owned because people are going to play simple. They don't want to play players on both sides. They're probably just going to play simple and electronic together. That's going to make this G2 side very low owned. But these price points look really good at these guys. Again, Astralis is a team. It's just device for me. And then on the big side, I think those top 3 guys all are in play, but more contrarian options for sure. So I think that's going to do it for the video, guys. If you have been enjoying the content so far, I really appreciate it. If you like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. Again, guys, hitting that notification bell really, really helps me out to continue to grow this channel. Again, if you guys are interested in PGA, I did upload my video for the Charles Schwab tournament. But other than that, thanks again for everyone to come and check the video. Hope you guys all have a good night, and I will see you all in the next video.